There is a silent addiction shaping modern lives, and most people never realize they are trapped by it. It does not look like addiction. It looks like distraction. It looks like boredom. It looks like rest. But underneath, it is a constant pursuit of stimulation that slowly erodes focus, discipline, and meaning. Dopamine, the chemical of motivation and anticipation, has been hijacked, not by pleasure itself, but by the endless chase for it. The mind was never designed for constant reward. It was designed for effort followed by meaning. Yet today, the brain is flooded with instant hits of stimulation that require no patience, no discomfort, and no commitment. Notifications, entertainment, sugar, scrolling, fantasy, validation, each one feels harmless in isolation. Together, they form a system that trains the brain to avoid depth and crave immediacy. At first, this feels like freedom. You can choose pleasure at any moment. Relief is always one tap away. But over time, something subtle begins to break. Focus shortens, motivation fades. Tasks that once felt manageable now feel heavy. Silence becomes uncomfortable. The mind grows restless, not because it is curious, but because it is understimulated by reality. Neuroscience explains this clearly. Dopamine is not the chemical of pleasure, it is the chemical of pursuit. It rises in anticipation, not in fulfillment. When the brain receives frequent, effortless rewards, its baseline dopamine sensitivity decreases. This means that ordinary life begins to feel dull, effort feels painful, and long-term goals lose emotional pull. This is why people struggle to focus. Not because they lack intelligence or ambition, but because their nervous system has been trained to expect reward without effort. The brain learns that stimulation is always available, so it resists tasks that do not provide immediate payoff. This is not laziness, it is conditioning. The tragedy is that the same system designed to motivate growth becomes the engine of stagnation. The more pleasure you chase, the less capable you become of sustained effort. The more stimulation you consume, the harder it becomes to sit with discomfort. And discomfort is where growth lives. Many people confuse pleasure with happiness, but pleasure is short-lived. It spikes and collapses. Happiness, or more accurately fulfillment, comes from progress, mastery, and alignment with purpose. These require patience, they require focus. They require the ability to delay gratification, a skill that is quietly disappearing. There is a moment when this cycle becomes impossible to ignore. You sit down to work, to study, to build something meaningful, and your mind rebels. It reaches for escape. It negotiates. It delays. The task feels 10 times heavier than it should. Not because it is difficult, but because your brain has been trained to expect pleasure first and effort second. This is the breaking point, not dramatic, not loud. Just the realization that something is wrong, that your potential is being leaked through small, invisible habits, that your life is being shaped not by intention, but by impulse. The shift begins with awareness. You are not broken. Your brain has simply adapted to its environment, and the environment is optimized for distraction, not depth. When you understand this, shame dissolves. Responsibility remains. The solution is not more pleasure. It is recalibration. Reducing instant dopamine does not make life worse. It restores contrast. When stimulation decreases, sensitivity returns. Ordinary actions regain meaning. Focus becomes possible again. The brain relearns how to work for reward instead of demanding it upfront. This is uncomfortable at first. The mind protests. Boredom rises. Restlessness appears. But this discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of healing. It is the nervous system rebalancing itself after years of overstimulation. Halfway through this process, many people realize they cannot restructure their mental habits alone. There are guidance materials that help people understand dopamine loops, rebuild focus, and break cycles of instant gratification. The links are in the description. Discipline plays a central role here, not punishment. not rigidity, discipline as protection. Structure removes decision fatigue. It prevents the mind from negotiating with impulse. Fixed routines, intentional friction, and controlled environments reduce the need for willpower. Nutrition matters. Excess sugar and ultra-processed foods amplify dopamine spikes and crashes. Physical movement stabilizes neurochemistry. Sleep restores baseline sensitivity. The body and brain are not separate systems. They are one feedback loop. Spiritual grounding also matters. Silence, stillness, prayer, conscious breathing. These practices reintroduce the mind to presence without stimulation. They remind you that peace does not require excitement, that clarity does not require noise. Over time, something remarkable happens. Focus deepens. Tasks feel lighter. Motivation returns, not as urgency, but as quiet drive. You begin to enjoy effort again. You stop chasing pleasure and start building meaning. This is not about rejecting pleasure entirely. It is about earning it. When pleasure follows effort, it reinforces growth instead of replacing it. The brain learns the correct order again. Commitment first, reward second. Identity shifts here. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs motivation. You become someone who acts regardless of mood. This is power, not loud power, calm power. The greatest cost of instant pleasure is not productivity loss. It is identity erosion. Each time you choose impulse over intention, you teach your brain that comfort matters more than purpose. Over time, this belief becomes automatic. Breaking this cycle restores agency. You are no longer pulled by every urge. You choose, and choice is freedom. Throughout this transformation, clarity emerged through ebooks that strengthened focus, dismantled dopamine dependency, and helped rebuild discipline from within. If you feel ready for that step, the links are in the description. If your focus feels broken, understand this: it is not gone. It is buried under layers of noise. Remove the noise and focus returns naturally. Stop chasing instant pleasure. Start building a life that does not need escape. When the mind changes, the body responds. When the body aligns, life transforms. Like the video, subscribe to the Mind Forge, and reclaim control over your attention.